September 23, 2022, Edmond, Oklahoma. A Friday afternoon, a man gets in his truck and drives into town. He hits one car, then another. Police get a call. A reckless driver, possibly drunk. They find him, they pursue him, and then something happens that nobody in that city will ever forget. A police officer, 18 years on the force, is launched 130 feet through the air, thrown into a wooded creek bed, unconscious, face down in the dirt. His fellow officers don't even know where he landed. The truck that hit him, it never braked. Not once. Edmond, Oklahoma is not a city known for chaos. About 100,000 people, tree-lined streets. The kind of place where kids ride bikes and neighbors wave at each other. Sergeant Joseph Wells fit right in. 18 years with the Edmond Police Department, a decorated motorcycle officer, a Marine veteran, husband, father, the kind of cop other cops looked up to. That Friday afternoon, Joe Wells was doing what he did every shift. He was keeping his city safe. What he didn't know was that less than an hour from now, his colleagues would be desperately searching the woods, trying to find what was left of him. At some point that afternoon, 911 dispatch started lighting up. Multiple callers reporting the same truck, same driver, same behavior. He was ramming people, not cutting them off, not driving aggressively, ramming them on purpose. Witnesses would later tell police it was definitely not an accident, that his behavior was deliberate and intentional. The truck, a Ford pickup, had already struck multiple vehicles in the city limits of Edmond before police even got to him. And when officers found him and tried to pull him over, he ran. The pursuit that followed was not short, and it was not calm. Garrett Trammell, 24 years old from Tecumseh, Oklahoma, led Edmond officers through the city at speeds up to 50 miles per hour in a 25-mile-per-hour residential zone. He cut across 3 lanes of traffic. He drove left of center. He swerved in and out of cars like the road was his own personal obstacle course. At one point, officers attempted a pit maneuver, a tactical move designed to spin a fleeing vehicle and stop it. Near Northeastern Avenue and South Boulevard, it worked. Trammell's truck spun out. Most people at that point give up. Trammell put the truck back in drive. He drove north, and he struck a marked occupied Edmond patrol car. Still going. Officers were now dealing with a driver who had hit multiple civilians, rammed a police car, and showed absolutely no signs of stopping. That's when Sergeant Joseph Wells entered the picture. Wells had positioned himself on the roadway, clearing debris from the chase, helping manage the scene. Standard procedure for a motorcycle officer. The truck was heading in his direction. Wells saw it coming. He fired his weapon at the truck. He tried to get out of the way. The black box data from Trammell's truck would later confirm what the Bodycam footage showed. At the moment of impact, Trammell was at 100% acceleration. He never touched the brake. The truck hit Wells at 41 miles per hour. Joseph Wells was thrown 130 feet, through trees, through brush, down into a dry creek bed. His fellow officers didn't know where he was. It took them time, precious time, to find him in that ravine, face down, unconscious, still wearing his helmet. When they turned him over, he was gurgling, struggling to breathe, fighting for his life in the dirt, while the man who put him there was still behind the wheel of his truck. Garrett Trammell drove a little further before his truck went over a curb and stopped. Officers took him into custody without further incident. Meanwhile, Joseph Wells was rushed to the hospital. The Edmond Police Department released a statement. They described his condition in 2 words that stopped an entire community cold: maximum life support. Wells had been thrown through a heavily wooded area at the speed of a car crash. The injuries were catastrophic. He underwent surgery. Then another. Over the course of his recovery, Joe Wells would endure more than 20 surgeries, and that still wasn't the worst of it. The nerve damage in his legs was severe, constant. His wife would later describe a man who had once been fiercely active, a martial artist, a gardener, a man who loved Cardinals baseball, reduced to a wheelchair, unable to walk to his own mailbox. Without pain, he developed anxiety, depression. There were moments, his wife said on the stand, when his only wish was to be able to walk to the bathroom on his own again. And then came the amputation, part of his left leg gone. Joe Wells, the Marine, the cop, the father, was fighting a war every single day, and not in any way he had ever trained for. Joe Wells said he doesn't remember anything from that day. He didn't remember the crash. He didn't remember being found. He didn't remember the creek bed, or the blood, or the moment his colleagues turned him over and prayed he would breathe. The first time he saw the dashcam footage was in court, 2 years later, in a wheelchair, looking at himself being thrown through the air like he weighed nothing. He said it felt like watching a movie. Garrett Trammell said he doesn't know why he did it. Maybe that's true. Maybe it will always be the most unsettling part of this entire story. Not the violence, not the sentencing, not the 2 years of legal back and forth, but the fact that a man's life was destroyed, a family was shattered, a city was traumatized, and the person responsible can't give anyone, not the judge, not the jury, not Joe Wells sitting 3 feet away, a single reason why. The black box in that truck recorded the truth even if Garrett Trammell couldn't. 100% acceleration, no brakes. A sharp turn toward a man in uniform. September 23rd, 2022, the day he didn't brake. Garrett Trammell is serving 25 years in Oklahoma State Prison. Sergeant Joseph Wells continues his recovery. His brother's GoFundMe remains active.